How do we prevent an AI agent from reproducing protected code or text? In this demo, we'll explore Azure AI Foundry's protected material control using a custom AI Engineering Workbench built with Azure AI Foundry Agents. We'll see how the agent can analyze content while helping prevent the reproduction of protected materials. Let's start with a quick preview of the demo. We'll attach a real source code file and ask the AI agent to reproduce it. In Azure AI Foundry, we have configured a protected material guardrail to block that behavior. In a few minutes, we'll see exactly why it gets blocked and how the control works behind the scene. See, it clearly says, "I'm sorry, but I cannot reproduce proprietary or confidential source code." AI is powerful because it can read and work with information. But when an agent accesses source code or confidential content, there is also a risk that it could reproduce material that should remain protected. That's where protected material controls becomes important. Let's see how protected material works inside an Azure AI Foundry agent. First, the user submits a document and a request. The Azure AI Foundry agent receives and routes the task. The assigned guardrail evaluates the content at the configured checkpoint. If allowed, model generates a response. Finally, the result can be blocked or returned with an annotation. This configuration determines how protected material responds. First, choose whether to protect code or text or both. Next, choose where in the agent flow the check happens: user input, tool call, or tool response, or output. Finally, choose whether to block the content or return an annotation. This is the most important concept in this demo. Protected material is designed to detect reproduction, not discussion. If the agent reviews or summarizes content, the request may be allowed. The control becomes meaningful when the reproduction is requested. The check only happens at the checkpoint you configure. The content must actually pass through that stage. Protected material is not a secret scanner. For sensitive data, Microsoft recommends controls such as DLP, PII detection, block list, or custom categories. Microsoft documentation specifically says that protected materials detect non-protected text or code in model output and is meaningful when the model is reproducing that material, not merely discussing, reviewing, or summarizing it. You need to be very clear with this concept. Let's start with a code review scenario. We attach the code and ask the agent to identify risk and design issues. In Microsoft Foundry, I have enabled protected materials. Everything is blocked. I have selected all the options for code and for text. And this is my sample code. I will use this as an attachment. Let's start. We attach the code and ask the agent to identify risk and design issues. Notice the response is allowed. The agent analyzes the code, but it does not reproduce it. Next, let's ask the agent to explain what this artifact does. Explain what this code does without reproducing protected content. Again, the response is allowed. The agent is discussing the code, not reproducing it. Next, let's ask the agent to propose improvements. This is also allowed. The agent suggests changes without copying the original source code. Now we'll change just one thing. Instead of reviewing or transforming the code, we'll ask the agent to reproduce it. This is the scenario protected material is designed for. Reproduce the relevant source code exactly, including comments and identifiers. Notice the response is blocked. The agent can discuss the code, but it cannot reproduce the protected content. Let's go back and change this to Annotate and see response for the same prompt. Both Annotate, save. And let's run this again. Now let's run the same test. See, it works. Let's start with review request. We'll attach the text document and ask the agent to review it. The response is allowed. The agent analyzes the content without reproducing it. Next, we'll ask the agent to explain the document. Again, the response is allowed. The agent can discuss the content without copying it. Now let's ask the agent to summarize the document and suggest improvements. The agent is creating new content, not reproducing the original text. Now we'll change the request. We'll ask the agent to reproduce the document exactly. This is where protected material becomes important. Notice the response is blocked. The agent can discuss the content, but it cannot reproduce the protected text. The pattern is same as our code example. Review, explain, and summarize may be allowed. Reproducing protected content is where Guardrail is designed to intervene. We have now tested both code and text. In both cases, the key trigger was not reading the content. The key trigger was attempting to reproduce it. The key takeaway is simple. Protected materials helps prevent an agent from reproducing protected code or text. Configure the right checkpoints, test the full agent workflow, and make the safe path the default path. Next, we'll explore sensitive data leakage. If this demo was helpful, subscribe and let me know in comments how you would use this control. Thanks for watching.